When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing those stories to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, is this the greatest job on earth? Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, or what gender. You can make an amazing life in sales. And today's guest, no stranger to the journey, I'd like to welcome Katie Wagner to the show. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. Good to see you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here, and we're going to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Okay. So I am a big fan of account-based marketing where you target the people you want to be your prospects, right? And market directly to them, sell directly to them. And so I had a company that I wanted to work with that was a little bit outside my league. And so I did some research and I found the CEO's home address. And for 12 to 18 months, maybe 16 months, let's call it, I sent him handwritten cards at home and did not tell him who I was, just signed them Katie. Just my first name, no company, no last name, nothing. I said, hey, it's Halloween time and I'm just thinking about you. Here's what I'm going to be for Halloween, wondering what you're going to be. I'm just writing to him like he's my friend. And I sent him these cards for 16 months, once a month. And then at the end of that, I called his office and said, hey, this is Katie. We've been corresponding and I'd like to talk to you about digital marketing. And he said, oh my God, I've been wondering who the heck you are that's been writing me these cards. And now, I want to meet you just because I want to see the crazy person that tracked me down and has been corresponding as if we're old friends. And so we had a coffee date and he became a client and we've worked together for many years now.
It's a fine line between prospecting and stalking.
And
but
stalking,
the beautiful thing is, when done correctly, it does create amazing relationships. And I've been referencing back to Chet Holmes and The Ultimate Sales Machine, the book. I'm not sure if you've ever read it.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Same idea,
Okay.
right? This is what I love about sales is he talks about, hey, pick a person, pick a list of people, and get very intentional and specific about your follow-up. And every single week, month, year, whatever it is, do the thing. And it's that consistency that I believe is what creates the curiosity and the trust between you and a prospect. So as you progress through your career, right, you're in the marketing side of this space of sales and in the wonderful world of, marketing, entrepreneurship, all the things. What made you decide to go into the marketing side versus being more sales focused?
It's interesting. My agency does lead generation. So I actually feel like we are sales focused, right? Because we create more at bats for our clients. And I didn't want to be a marketer that just does like branding and makes pretty things, right? I like revenue. And for our clients, we really lean into how are we getting more at bats? How are we closing more deals? And we're only doing marketing in service of that. And so I actually feel like I get to straddle both sides of it and have the best of both worlds.
That's such a great answer. And there is a good distinction between branding, marketing, lead generation specifically. And this is the cool thing about being in this space is you can really get hyper focused on one piece of the machine and being like the ultimate savage in that and the most reliable and the most consistent. And this is where I think so many sales professionals tend to fall flat is they don't have any sort of plan for any of this. So when people ask, hey, how do I generate leads? What's a surface level way we can get them thinking about the process? And then where do they take it from there?
Well, it depends really on the type of business and the industry. But in today's world, the goal is to get people to your website and to opt into a conversation. And that has gotten a lot harder thanks to AI and a crowded internet. because people are searching online, they get answers from AI. They don't click through to the website anymore. They need less contact with the company than they had in the past. And so
Mhm.
this is why we're really promoting this account-based approach, where I believe you should source a list, make a list of people or types of companies you want to work with, and then run ads targeting those people directly, send them to your website, but then we put IP detection on websites so we can tell when they visit the website. And that allows
Mm.
us to say to the sales team, okay, this person responded by looking at the website. Now's the time to reach out. So it's no longer cold outreach. They're familiar with you. They've looked at the website, and now you can reach out. But the biggest problem I see is that people hire companies like mine to generate leads, and they have no plan for what are they going to do once they get leads, right? And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know, call the damn leads. But you have to have a plan for how to follow up and what that looks like before you do the outreach, because otherwise you're just missing opportunities right and left. You don't get a second shot once the prospect is interested.
Oh, okay. We're gonna dig into this a bit, Katie, because now you got all my little nerdy juices going here.
I know, sorry.
The the side of marketing where you can get very specific with the data and
Yes,
being able to have higher level tracking than your standard Facebook pixel, which is great. Like,
yes,
awesome.
sure.
But
There's a
when
place
you
for that.
can pull hash data and pair it with the CRM that you're working and specifically get a notification that says, hey, Katie Wagner just clicked on your website at callthedamnleads.com and maybe even so far as looked at this specific product or this specific thing. The
Yes.
ability to then call and say, hey, Katie, this is Drewbie over at Call the Damn Leads. I saw you were checking out such and such. Tell me more
Yep.
about what had you interested. And just start
Yep.
that line right there. That, oh, the best.
Perfect. And, we advocate creating collateral about each of the things you feature so that you can send them the right piece of information afterwards, right? And when I do
Yes.
it on my own website, Drewbie, I will say, sorry to be the creepy marketer, saw that you were on my website, right? Like, it's unsettling to people sometimes, and you got to kind of back into it with a little humor. Like, yes, we track you, and I know you're interested in the video program, so let's talk about it, right? And
This
that
is
can
also
be
why you want to hire us because we know these things.
yes, exactly. If I can't do it for myself, you should not hire me to do it for you. Um, but yes, having that specific conversation and say, look, I know exactly what you're interested in. What is the problem you're trying to solve? And really diving deep rather than the way we used to do it, which is like, let me tell you about our company and all the things we can offer. Like that no longer works, right? People are like, ain't
Yeah.
nobody got time for that. Let's talk about my specific need. And this just cuts down to that.
Well, and I think this is what's super interesting to me, and kudos to you because that is anybody who knows the game just went, oh, I'm drooling right now thinking about it. Anybody who didn't start drooling, go back and listen to this like last 3 minutes a couple times. Gems, just absolute gems. And also, though, I think this is where so many people are in the sales world. They don't have the process
Yeah.
of what's going to happen step by step as these things start to occur, the if then strategy of visually seeing where things are going to go,
Right.
and the ability to communicate and ask good questions and know
Mhm.
what the heck you're going to say when you get on the phone. Too many people are missing that because, like you said, they're kind of ingrained in this. All right, well, I have to tell you all of these things about us that will make you trust me first. And
Right.
with the internet, and AI, like, what is the future of this? Like, because trust is different. So, like, where do we go with this?
Yes, thank you for asking. This is my soapbox. I think that trust is at an all-time low point. I think we have a trust crisis right now because AI has flooded the internet with content that may or may not be accurate. Our geopolitical climate is not helping. Privacy, data concerns, not helping. And stats show that 70% of consumers out there don't trust the internet the way they used to. And so it's also changing the way our sales funnels need to work because that top of funnel information is no longer necessary. People don't need you to tell them about your company and what you offer. They've already researched all that on your website, on AI, on search. They've asked their Gemini to tell them, right? They already come to you with that information. And so if you're out there trying to do the top of the funnel conversation, nobody wants that. You need to really focus, in my opinion, on middle and bottom of the funnel content, drilling into specific problems, specific solutions, and differentiators about you in that space. Not like, we've been around 25 years, here's what makes us different, but like, how do you do that thing differently than anyone else and better? So process, timeline, maybe cost, like how do you measure up? Because those are the kind of conversion conversations people are coming to you for. If they're clicking through to your website, if they're filling out a contact form today, they already have the top of funnel information. Nobody is starting the search there anymore. They already have it and they want to have a deeper conversation.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's almost as if like the cold traffic cycle has been drastically shortened because of the speed at which people can get information.
Yes. Yes, AI has totally intercepted that traffic. That traffic no longer comes to you. So people coming to you are much warmer and much more intent focused, and you need to meet them where they are.
Interesting, because there's so many people out there who have this internal belief that they have to build all of this immediate trust. And trust me, like, believe me, there is a level of trust that's necessary. And also, yes, though, I think it's interesting to see the shift to, as you said, the middle of funnel, bottom of funnel conversation, especially in the marketing world, because there is so much noise. And so how does a sales professional, entrepreneur, small business owner, you who are listening, that whichever label you put on yourself here, what steps can they start taking to kind of think about that messaging, or where do they need to start pointing the direction of their compass to make sure they get there?
Yeah. So rather than saying, oh, I've got to start building all this trust, I'd like you to think about it as it's yours to lose at this point. If they click through, they already have some level of trust, and you either shore that up and confirm that they've made the right decision, or you blow it, right? And so if you approach those conversations in the mindset of, they're coming to me because for some reason they think I'm the expert at this, they think I can solve this problem, and then you shore up that trust by showing them results, case studies, longevity, proof of concept, like what have you done for others in that position? That's the kind of content they want. They no longer need the big sales pitch. They're past that. They need here's how we've done it. Here's what the process looks like for you. Here's the comparison chart with others you might be checking out. Here's the case studies of how it's worked in the past. Like that is middle and bottom of the funnel content these days. And you need to approach those conversations with your ducks in a row, ready to tell some stories. And I think, also when we think about trust, we're seeing this boomerang back to very human connections. I mean, this is why me writing greeting cards works, right? Because there's so much. I mean, you and I were talking offline about automating sales processes and stuff, and there's a place for that. But people know that stuff's automated. And when they finally talk to you, they want that human one-on-one conversation. And I've been doing this a long time, 16 years in lead gen. And I've realized that the one thing that never changes is people trust people, right? They may trust AI, they may trust the one sheet you sent them or the website, but really they want to like you as a human. And that conversation is what seals the deal.
And this is why we have to call the damn leads.
That's right.
Katie, you teed that up for me, didn't you? You came into this podcast so ready. You were like, watch this. I'm going to blow Drewbie's mind.
I told you, you're a spirit animal.
Oh, yes. This is great. And so what I'd be interested, because again, we mentioned this offline, right? I'm a guy who grew up in sales, never really saw myself as a sales dude, but realized I'm kind of more the relationship, lifetime value, long-term kind of client versus the one and done. And there's a place for either or, don't get me wrong. But what I really truly learned was that marketing would be the thing that allowed me to create my own success in sales, in that when I can generate my own leads and I can create my own opportunity for the specific product or service that I'm representing at that season in my life. Because listen, sales professionals, you may bounce around over the years. Maybe you find one great company, you're there forever. That's awesome. But it's a framework and a process. But what I'm interested from you, Katie, is you were, if I understand correctly, you were in the news space
I
and
was.
journalism before you
Yeah.
got into marketing. So I want to touch on that for a second because I'm interested the transition there, like how that comes to be.
Yeah. So I was a television anchor for 15 years before I opened the agency. And in the last, let's say, 5 years of my career, nobody was watching the 5 o'clock news anymore because they could get headlines on Facebook and Twitter and see videos on YouTube. And so my bosses were like, get out there and learn how to use these channels and get our audience back. And the
Mm.
more that I learned to use the channels, I realized our audience isn't coming back. People aren't giving up this immediacy, this ability to find information on their own. And if you look at news today, which is very different than 15 years ago when I was in it, most of the news today is commentary, right? It's not actually news in the traditional sense. And the news in the traditional sense largely is online now. News sources are putting a lot more efforts into their websites and that sort of thing for the actual news. And then the shows you see on TV are commentary and entertainment largely. Um, and so I made the shift because I wanted to reach people where they were. And I wanted to teach business owners and salespeople how to tell better stories to really connect with their target audience. And as a journalist, that was my whole job, get people to pay attention. And so I knew how to do that. And at my agency, we call ourselves brand journalists because we
Mm.
really lean into interviewing our clients and creating content based on their perspective and their thought leadership rather than, again, that generic content that AI can take.
All right. I love this conversation. I was just having this with some of my consulting clients here recently, in that with the transition from traditional television,
Hmm.
radio,
Yep.
with social media, doesn't matter which platform, all of them somewhat operate the same. There are certain specific ones based on audiences and whatever, but here nor there. If you are a sales professional, small business owner,
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you have a brand, you have a thing that you want to get into the world, you have to
Hmm.
look at yourself as a minor celebrity. And I know
Yep.
that's going to sound a little bit weird, but I was literally, Katie, just comparing this the other day in my group to local news anchors. So I'm like, think
Yeah.
about the news anchors in your town. Like, they're on TV every day. People look to them, they trust them, they have a reputation to uphold. And when it
Sure.
shifted to social media, they had to make that shift, and they have to be real time, and they have to share the behind the scenes because the community trusts them to get the
Yes.
information that they need. And so when you have a business or a brand or a product or service that you represent, people need to see you as that celebrity. And so I'd love your thoughts on that, because I think this is like such an interesting transition
Hmm.
that we're going through in the world.
I could not love that more. I agree with you 100% because I think, we are representatives. I'm going to use the word influencer. We are the influencers of our own business, right? And
Yep.
we do have to put content out there. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was in TV, people they recognize you, right? And people used to come up to me in the grocery store and tell me to wear more lipstick. They'd say, are you Katie Wagner? Yes. You need to wear more lipstick. Okay, thanks. Nice to see you. Glad you're watching, right? Unsolicited advice out the wazoo because they trust me because they've seen me in their living rooms every night. They think we're friends. Drewbie,
Mm.
I didn't feel that way. It's not a two-sided relationship, but it didn't matter. They had a connection to me that allowed them to come up and give me this candid advice that was going to make my life better. Right. And I think the same is true of us as salespeople. We want whoever our target audience is to feel that connection to us and feel that we have that rapport so that when they come to talk to us, maybe it's one sided. We don't know them as well as they know us. But if they're feeling that emotional connection, that does a ton to further the sales conversation. And so, yes, I agree with you. If you are putting yourself out there, high visibility, high credibility online, and allowing people to bond with you that way, that only helps when it's time to talk about deals.
Well said. Absolutely well said. And I think the cool part is really seeing people make that transition and understanding that they control their own little universe, and not everyone is going to buy from you, but there are people who will come up at the grocery store and tell you to put on more lipstick, and then they'll go to dinner with some friends later that week and be like, you guys, I ran into Katie at the grocery store.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I said? I told her she needed to wear more lipstick. And they're going to laugh about it. And your name's going to keep spreading. And people are going to joke and laugh. But like, that is the point of branding and marketing and lead generation.
Absolutely. And you know what?
So,
they're going to see me on TV the next week, think my lipstick looks good, and think to themselves, I did that. Right? And feel great about themselves.
Absolutely. I love that. And so here's kind of my question for this, because I think this is where a lot of people get a little bit hung up, though.
Yeah.
You're building the brand. You're building the marketing. Where and how do we get them to start coming to our website? Like, what's the next step? How do we get them to become an actual lead so that we can have that conversation?
Yeah. So if they're finding you, you have to have some sort of valuable thing you are sending them to, right? Is there something on the website they want to see? So sometimes that's content, could be a webinar or a video of some sort. Sometimes it's a downloadable asset or something. I am a big fan of co-creating content with other brands. So if you can find an adjacent company that's not competitive, but your customers would need you both, and co-create content. And then let's say you and I did that and we did a webinar together, and then, or a podcast, we'll just say, and then you send it to your audience, right? And then now they're exposed to me, and I send it to my audience and they're exposed to you. That is a way to get them to further check you out. If you are tapping into a strategic partner's audience, now they're curious because they already have trust with me. Now they want to check you out more. And that can be a fabulous way to get them to click back and go deeper. We call that near-bound marketing as opposed to inbound or outbound. Strategic partnerships. I also think, from a strictly tactical standpoint, search has changed a lot, right? The way people are discovering companies has changed a lot, and you need to be optimizing for those changes. Are LLMs, Gemini, ChatGPT, going to recommend your company when people ask questions? Are you going to show up in the AI overviews? Like, those things are becoming more important. And it's baffling to me how many people I see that say, oh, we have a modern cutting edge product and we're really on top of the market. And then they don't do the things to play into the way people are searching these days, right? That show that you're modern and cutting edge. And so I do think there's a little bit of a keeping up with the times and showing that you can play the game, because people expect that these days.
Katie, I would be willing to bet we could nerd out on this for the next several hours.
Yes.
However, I do want to be respectful of your time. I am personally looking forward to connecting with you more offline, seeing more of your content. How do the listeners come find you, follow you, check out your stuff? This has been an awesome conversation. I know there's more. We just don't have time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can always check out my website, which is kwsmdigital.com. Or if you find me on LinkedIn, I'm pretty active there. So I would love to continue the conversation.
I will be sure we put all that in the show notes and we drive everybody your way, because that's how we do lead generation, folks. We co-create content and we share each other's links and we put it out into the world in front of our audience of you fine, amazing people who trust me every week to come and listen to this awesome show. And so, Katie, thank you so much again for your time. This has been a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Listen, if you enjoyed the show, go share it on social media, tag Katie and I, let the world know you invested some time here. You got some value out of the episode. Maybe you know somebody who sucks at marketing and lead generation. Send them this episode. You don't have to tell them they suck, but just send this episode and be like, hey, listen, I heard this. I thought of you. I think you'll get some value out of it. And then go leave us a review, check out other episodes, subscribe, all the things. You guys know what to do. But if you have your own sales story and you want to be a guest on the show, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. Get signed up. We'd love to check it out. And then buy some swag, maybe a hat, a t-shirt, a wristband, something to support the Call the Damn Leads movement. Because you know what you have to do next. Pick up the phone. Call the Damn Leads. We'll see you guys next time.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.